Hey, Laura,
Jingle
you're muted, by
bells
the
have
way. There you
the
go.
Jingle Bell song has got me going here. So, anyways, hello everyone, and welcome to the MI6 Christmas Special. I'm Loro Antonio, the real Loro Nation, one of the hosts of the show today. Isaiah is going to be hosting the second part of the show, which is the Christmas trivia, which we are going to be having for you today. It's going to be Christmas fun, and it's going to be a really good show tonight. So get your hot cocoa and also your warm blanket and sweater on you and enjoy the show with all of us talking sports and also talking about Christmas fun. And let's introduce who is on the panel with me today. We got Isaiah Leong, my co-host of this MI6 Christmas special here. We got Trevor Williams joining us tonight as well. And then we don't see this person on the air. That is John Alcorn. So anyways, Isaiah, you got that hashtag Isaiah loses again. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, fellas! It is great to be with you guys. Christmas is about a week away. I can't wait, man. It's been a great December, and I always look forward to I look forward to every show that we do all the time, but there's like three shows in particular that I always look forward to every single year on the MI6 Sports Network. The Thanksgiving special, the Christmas special, and the New Year's extravaganza. And the New Year or the Christmas special is one of my favorites. So I'm decked out in the Christmas spirit. I've got my Santa hat, got my ugly Christmas sweater. So let's go, man. Let's have some fun tonight. It's going to be great.
It is. I got something Christmas for you. I got my red and white Nike shirt because it kind of represents Santa Claus. So that's kind of like my thing here. So, Trevor, how's it going tonight, my friend? And ready for Christmas?
It's pretty good. I'm praying for that white Christmas, that nice snowstorm that comes through, and blankets. Everyone's front lawn with some nice snow. But the forecast is a little bit warm, so we may get some rain. So a little bit sad about that. But hey, fingers crossed. If the temperature dips, maybe we'll get a nice flurry in for Christmas morning. Hope we get that.
It would be good. I mean, it's fun to always play in the snow. If I were you living in the East Coast, I mean, you could throw snowballs at your friends or your family and all that. That's kind of the fun part if it's snowy in the East Coast of the United States. And then we got that dude, John Alcorn. How are you doing?
We're good, man. Still trying to process some trauma. Again, I'm talking about a movie. Been yesterday, but we're good. Just talking sports and ready for the Christmas holiday.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all ready for a great show tonight. So, ready for some 3 hours of fun and excitement and also some fun sports talk here. And also, we got comments coming in from Justin Bosman. Thank you for those comments. And then we want to pull up a comment from Christy Wilson, who just said just got back from dinner with her friends. And then she also wanted to say hello to everyone on the show as well. So hi, Christy. Thank you for coming on. Good to see you last night on the on Kicking It with Ace and Isaiah last night. I was like, were you part of the network? Or we'll see about that. Maybe we'll have Christy Wilson be part of one of our shows at some point. So let's start with the breaking news as the NFL has postponed 3 games. So let's hit the breaking news button right now. All right, folks. So the NFL has postponed 3 games. The Raiders-Browns game was moved to Monday afternoon. The Washington football team and Eagles and Seahawks and Rams game got moved to Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we will have one Saturday game tomorrow when my New England Patriots take on the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm going to start with you, Isaiah, on this. What was your take? What was your thoughts on the Raiders-Browns game being moved to Monday, and then the Washington football team Eagles game being moved to Tuesday, along with the Seahawks and Rams?
I thought that honestly that we were done with the pandemic. I said this to my guy Shri Anand when he visited the Bay Area, I believe about 5 days ago. That hey man, it's not like officially over yet, but I think it's pretty much over because things are back to normal. People are going back to work. People are the NBA, NFL, baseball. It seems like they're finishing their seasons without any major obstacles. Fans are back into the stands, so everything's pretty much is back to normal. And then this news hits, the last couple of days, and it wasn't bad when Shri was in the Bay Area. I think there were a few teams that had like some people in the protocol, but we have to learn to live with it. So I was like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. And then the last 48 to 72 hours have really, really hit home, and it's really brought the dark days of 2020 back into my head. There's been some doubts that we would even finish the season. There's been thoughts of back to wearing masks, back to limited capacity, back to postponements, all that stuff that we simply avoided for a good portion of this year, until it hits the final couple of weeks of December. And it's very unfortunate, but I do think the NFL had to do this just because when you look at the Browns, they had like over 25 players and coaches in the COVID protocol. Like, you're not going to force a team. There's a 53-man roster, and there's like I think 15 or 20 coaches on a coaching staff. You are not going to have a team that is going to play another team with half their roster and half their coaching staff. That's just really mean, and that's just really, you just can't do that. So the NFL, I think they made the right decision. Now you can let the people get more tests done. Because, like we said, Laurel, last night on the night shift, the thing about this that is very worrisome is that if you don't curb it right now, and you let these players keep playing their games, you're going to start getting more and more and more people infected because they're playing other teams. They're getting into contact with other players and other coaches. So this was necessary. It was the first step towards curbing this outbreak that we've had right now. And like I said, I think the NFL and the NBA needs to go back to the strict protocols that we had back in 2020, when we had masks on the sidelines. When you're not playing on the field or on the court, you have to go wear a mask. Daily temperature checks, daily tests, no matter if you're vaccinated or not, when you're coming into the building. That's what you need right now to curb this spread. I feel like we relaxed it a little bit, and now it's rearing its ugly head. So it was very necessary for the NFL. And, to all the people that are bitching and moaning about it on Twitter, like, oh, the NFL it's not right because the NFL is giving the other team, time to get their players healthy and all that stuff. I'm talking to you, Darius Slay, and Jason Kelsey, and all these people that were bitching and moaning about it not being fair. I'll tell you this. That just shows me that you're not a strong competitor, because really you want the advantage, first of all, of competing against a team decimated by COVID, and secondly, like, if they don't do this, if they don't postpone it, well, guess what? Your health is in danger. Well, you might get COVID, and then your comments will come back to bite you. So stop bitching and moaning about it and let it just be what it is. But Laurel, it was very necessary, I think, for the NFL to take this step.
I think it was in a way that you had to take this step as well. But anyways, Trevor, what are your takeaways on the NFL rescheduling these Week 15 games to a Monday and Tuesday?
It's a bit weird because, to be honest, like we talked about it on No BS, like saying what happens if the NFL took a bye week. And now, less than after the Thursday night football game, they literally are moving games to Monday and Tuesday. I think it's like, I want to knock on wood to, not make any more jinx happen. But, it's some teams need it more than others. But at the same time, a lot of the teams in the AFC are in the hunt for the playoffs. There's maybe like 2-game differences between those who are leading their division compared to those who are in the hunt for the playoffs. So it's like you want teams to be able to compete versus like, oh, they got into, the playoff spot because like literally a team literally lost half their team for 2 weeks, and that literally eliminates them from the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes, and see if they're gonna move any other games over. But I think they have all the games that they wanted to move over for the teams that have the higher numbers of people out. But like I said, anything can change within the course of 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, that could happen. You're absolutely right about that. So, anyways, John just left us briefly, so we're gonna go move on into our topics here. Let's go on to the NFL. So, Nick Mullins is expected to make the start for the Cleveland Browns at quarterback on Monday when they host the Raiders. But you never know. If Baker Mayfield tests negative twice, he could be back for this game on Monday. So, what do you expect from Nick Mullins versus the Raiders on Monday? I expect Nick Mullins to find a way to step up. But if it's Nick Mullins versus Derek Carr, I think the Raiders will find a way to win this game. What about you, Isaiah? What do you expect from your boy Nick Mullins in his start with Cleveland?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I saw Trevor with like a little confused look on his face when Laurel announced the topic. Yes, Trevor, this is what exactly happens when you leave me in charge of the script. We end up talking about our first topic of our Christmas special ends up being about Nick freaking Mullins.
No, and anytime we leave you making the script, you find a way to put your fan crushes in there.
I just had to throw in
anything about the 49ers. And stuff like that. That's literally your philosophy on making a script.
Well, yeah, I absolutely just had to throw in Nick Mullins. I was going to throw in Austin Reeves as well, but I was like, I'll let you guys down on that down on it a little bit on tonight. But what do I expect from Nick Mullins? I expect him to play great in this game, honestly, because when you look at the Raiders' defense, they suck. Their front seven can't really get to the quarterback. Their linebackers are always playing out of position. Their secondary cannot cover a wide receiver or a tight end to save their life. I mean, this is the same team that got torched by Kansas City last week, like 48-9 or something like outrageous like that it was. So I think Nick Mullins actually will have a great game. I really do. I think Nick Mullins is one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in the NFL. I know he's a third stringer, but I mean, the dude balled out with the Niners when he was given the chance as a backup. So I think he'll play well. Plus, it's at home. Plus, it's going to be clear sky, so he's going to have great conditions to work with. He's going to have his home crowd, not play on the road. He won't get traumatized. So, I think he will be able, honestly, to slaughter the Raiders, and he's done it in the past too against most of the guys that are playing this Monday night for the Las Vegas Raiders. So he has a track record of dominating the Raiders, but that was with John Gruden. But I think Mullins will come out. I think that Kevin Stefanski will try to run the football a lot in this game to try to not have Mullins throw the football that much in this game. And then, I think afterwards, I think Mullins will be put in a situation where he just has to, make the easy passes, make the simple passes. And if he does that, I think he'll do great. And I think that he won't turn the football over in this game. So I actually expect Nick Mullins to play great against the Raiders.
Yeah, I think he will play well, too, against the Raiders. I mean, he played well against them back when he was a 49er. I mean, that's kind of my thing here. That's what I kind of my think here. But also want to pull up a comment from Christy Wilson. She had a good point about Monday's Browns and Raiders game. She says she thinks the Raiders will win because without Baker Mayfield, the Browns are in trouble. Yeah, Christy, you're absolutely right. Baker Mayfield is a difference maker when he's on the field for the Cleveland Browns. And then Trevor, what do you expect from Nick Mullins in his start against the Raiders on Monday? He's
gonna struggle because some Browns key weapons may be out that same game still. So he's literally playing with fourth and fifth string players. So it's really not going to be easy for him. He's going to be struggling his way probably through majority of the game. It's probably going to be low scoring. It's not going to be anything flashy. It's probably going to be like a score of 19-17, or the Raiders may just get hot and blow out the Browns because the Browns just may not have enough people who come back in time for this game if they keep, testing positive with, the coronavirus. So like I said, it has to really depending who comes back for the Browns to give them a fighting chance. Obviously, I want to keep the Browns in the playoff race and keep them in the heat. But if they don't get enough players back, their playoff dreams are going to be crushed just having players, miss out because of COVID.
Trevor, it's about to be the Nick Mullins era in Cleveland. Am I right,
Nope,
my friend?
it's not going to happen.
Probably, he's only a backup, Isaiah.
He's one of the better backups, though, in the league. I'll give him that. But
better backups compared to Mariota. Okay, buddy. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So when you talk about teams that are on upset alert in Week 15, I kind of think I would hate to say it, I think the Patriots possibly could be on upset alert because the Colts are playing well at the right time. I also think that if you look at if you ask this question, which teams are on upset alert, I think that you could see I think the Green Bay Packers could be on upset alert because the Ravens are 8-5. They could win. They could beat the Packers at home here, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of upsets in Week 15, though, in my opinion. So, Isaiah, who do you think? Which teams do you believe are on upset alert in Week 15?
I'm looking at the list of Week 15 games right now, and I mean, if we're going based on record and not, the favorites according to Vegas, I think the Texans could be on upset alert because I know the Jaguars have been really bad, but Urban Meyer's fired. That black cloud is gone. It's, relief for them. So and they're at home as well. So I think the Jaguars are going to be playing motivated. I think that they're going to be playing fired up, and I would not be shocked if the Jaguars upset the Houston Texans in this football game. And then you look at some of the other games, you mentioned Lauro. I think, you're right. I think the Colts could definitely upset the Patriots because, the Colts are playing really good football right now. They're running the football extremely well with Jonathan Taylor. They're at home in this game, so I think the Colts or the Patriots could be on upset alert. I can see the Colts winning that football game. And then I think when you look at the other games on this list, I know New Orleans doesn't have a quarterback right now. Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian are their quarterbacks. But when I look at this game, for some reason, New Orleans always has Tampa Bay's number, even when Tom Brady's on their team. And when you don't expect the Saints to win, they somehow find a way to win. I mean, they won last time against the Bucs with Jameis freaking Winston at the helm at the quarterback. So I could see the Bucs also losing just because I think that, they're coming off a big win over the Bills. It could be a trap game, plus New Orleans somehow, some way, I don't know why, just always seems to have the Buccaneers number.
They always somehow have Tampa Bay's number, which it's kind of like without Drew Brees, Tom Brady and them should be owning the Saints. Without Drew Brees, I mean, Taysom Hill can just still run, can make defenses tired. And I think that the Buccaneers offense is really not the issue. I think the Buccaneers defense does not perform well against the New Orleans Saints. Trevor, which teams do you think are on upset alert heading into Week 15 of the NFL season?
I think the Bills are going to probably find a way to lose against the Panthers somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it,
What?
but I think it's going to happen. But at the same time, it's in Buffalo, so they're probably going to be able to survive with the cold weather in their favor. But at the same time, just coming off of that loss, they could rebound, but then they could lose again and go 7-7. So that's another interesting one. I would say another one that could be interesting is Cowboys and Giants. It's just really hard to see what the Cowboys are going to do. Are they, for really going to take care of business and, take care of that division? Or are they going to find a way to make sure everyone in that division gets somehow back into the playoff pictures? Because you know how the NFC least is. They somehow find every possible way to get back into the playoffs. And a team that doesn't belong there ends up being there. So that's kind of my two, I would say, upsets I would be looking at.
That could happen. I think the Bills will probably be beating the Panthers since it's in Buffalo. But you're saying that you think that maybe the Panthers snap a 10-game losing streak with Cam Newton at quarterback?
Maybe, but at the same time, it's an uphill battle for the Panthers. Getting rid of players and players being out with injuries. It's not going to be easy task. Like, no doubt about it. But the Bills, defense been struggling from time and time again. But hey, they'll find a way to get back to the postseason. But right now, your Patriots are leading that division, and I think they're on top of the AFC right now based on how things are playing out. But it all could change, and the Kansas City Chiefs could be leading the top of the AFC since they had a fantastic win over my Chargers. But this week is still young, and a lot of things can still unfold.
That could happen here. We'll see. But anyways, out of the teams currently battling for the number one spot in the NFC, the Cardinals, the Buccaneers, and Packers. Who do you guys believe will wind up with it? I'm going to go first with this one. I'm going to stick with this pick since I picked it before the season began. I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be the number one team in the NFC because you got Brady, you got Gronk, you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, Leonard Fournette's played well. Ronald Jones has not been used much this year. I think Tampa Bay is a complete team offensively. I think it's between the Buccaneers and Packers for me. I think one of these teams will be 1-2, and I think the Cardinals will probably be the 3 seed. So just want to get that out there as well. So that's who I believe will end up with the top spot in the NFC. Trevor, I'll go first. I'll have you go first on this one. Who do you think ends up with the number one seed in the NFC?
Well, looking at the number one seed right now, I could see these teams potentially, losing another game here and there. But at the same time, I know the Cardinals will definitely have a loss there and make them a 3-loss team. But it's going to be the Packers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, overall, I'm going to agree with you that, Tampa Bay could pull it out. But at the same time, it just depends what Kyle Murray and, what the Cardinals are going to do. Though they lost DeAndre Hopkins, and that's, his leg and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's probably going to be a race between the Cardinals if they can get, their players to stay healthy and Tampa Bay. But, you can't count the Packers out. It's going to be, close race to finish. But like I said, it's really hard to say who's going to pull out that division. I'm going to agree with you, Laura. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay because the Cardinals still have the Rams to play at some point. Unless they already played each other twice already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Tampa Bay is going to get to the number one seed. I mean, with the Cardinals losing to the Rams, that was kind of big. And I think the Rams, don't be shocked if they still can win the NFC West still, if you guys could agree with me or not. So anyways, now we'll talk about Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney attended a Raiders game. I mean, Justin put Tampa Bay here on our comment section, and he was at a Raiders game recently and was decked out in Raiders gear, and also was seen talking shop and hitting it off with Raiders owner Mark Davis during the game as well as Raiders players Derek Carr and Hunter Renfrow after the game. How much should we into the Dabo rumors with the Raider at the Raiders game? I mean, even though that he got the job here. Anyways, Isaiah, I'm going to go with you on this one. So, anyways, sorry, I forgot about you, Isaiah. So who do you think is going to be the number one seed in the NFC?
Oh, no problem, man. Oh, man. When it comes to the number one seed in the NFC, I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be a very tight race down to the finish, and I think that it's going to be between the Packers and the Buccaneers. I don't trust Arizona at this point now because they just lost DeAndre Hopkins. They are a very young team. They're not used to being in this position that they are right now, so I think that they're going to drop off a little bit down the stretch. I believe they still got the Seahawks coming up. I think they already played the Rams twice. They got like the Seahawks. I'm trying to see their schedule. I think they have the Seahawks. That's definitely one of their other games that they have on their schedule. And I think they got Detroit. They got the Cowboys. They got the Seahawks. And then they got the Colts. So, I mean, that you're talking about the final 3 games of the season playing against teams that are in the mix for a playoff spot in either the AFC or the NFC. So I think that for Arizona, they're going to drop. I think that Tampa Bay, for me, I'm going to agree with you guys. I think it's Tampa Bay because I think Green Bay, they got a much difficult schedule than the Buccaneers down the stretch. The Buccaneers down the stretch, I believe they've got the Falcons. They have the Saints this Sunday. And then I think after that, no, they got the Saints this upcoming Sunday in Tampa. Then they have the Panthers, who have been scuffling a lot lately. Then they have at the Jets. That should be an easy win. And then versus the Carolina Panthers at home. So I think I'm going to go with the Bucs. I think the Bucs have the much easier schedule. I think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers really want to lock up that #1 seed because this is not, the older days where, the top 2 seeds get a bye week. No, it is now the #1 seed in both the AFC and the NFC gets the bye week, and the 2 has to play in the wild card round. And, the Buccaneers are a veteran team. They've won the Super Bowl last year. They want that extra week off so they can, refresh, they can get their bodies right, and then they can come back after a week off. So I think I'm going to go with Tampa. I think Tom Brady has just a lot more urgency to try to get that #1 seed, where Aaron Rodgers, he probably wants that, 1 week off to try to freshen up his body and get that toe right. But I just think, you got the Browns, you got the Ravens, you've got the Vikings, you got I believe they have the New Orleans Saints as well to end the year. That's a really difficult schedule down the stretch for the Packers. And I would not be shocked, Laurel and Trevor, if the Packers finished with a lower seed than Arizona because of their schedule.
Could happen, but we'll wait and see here. But anyways, when I kind of talked about that Clemson coach Dabo Swinney attended a Raiders game recently. He was decked out in Raiders gear. He was seen talking shop and hitting it off with Raiders owner Mark Davis, and during the game, as well as Raider players Derek Carr and Hunter Renfrow after the game. And I'll tell you my thoughts on this. I don't think we need to be paying attention to the Dabo Swinney rumors to the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders should hire him. I think Mark Davis should stick with Rick Bisaccia as their full-time head coach heading into next season, because I think Rick Bisaccia has done a decent job with the Raiders as their interim coach. You got to take the interim tag off of him. Isaiah, I'll go first with you on this one. Should we pay attention to Dabo Swinney to the Raiders rumors?
We should absolutely pay attention to these rumors, and here's why. It's because Mark Davis always loves making that splash hire. He always loves swinging for the fences. So he hired John Gruden last time because he swung for the fences and wanted to get someone to, sell tickets for the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, now I guarantee you, he's going to swing for the fences once again, because that is Mark Davis's MO. That's what he always does. So I'm not surprised that he's courting Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney is one of the best coaches in college football. Dabo Swinney, I don't know. There's been rumors in the past that, that NFL teams have been interested in him, but Laurel, you're right. I think that he would be a terrible fit for the NFL just because he's not, an offensive mastermind or a defensive mastermind. He is a guy that is a CEO, and he's a guy that's more of a recruiter. And we looked at Urban Meyer. Look at Urban Meyer. The reason why Urban Meyer failed spectacularly, not because Urban Meyer, it was for all the nonsense that he did off the field and in the locker room, but also because he wasn't that offensive mastermind and that defensive mastermind, in the NFL. In the NFL, it's more about great offensive mind, great defensive mind, or great special teams mind than it is being, a leader or being a CEO or being, that guy that is in charge of the entire program. You need more of that game planner and game designer and schemer type of a coach. That is what works well in the NFL. In college, because you have to recruit, it's about getting the CEO, getting the great recruiter, getting that great leader of men into the program. But in the NFL, it's completely different. I think Dabo Swinney, I don't think he would be like Urban Meyer, obviously, like doing all that crap that Urban Meyer did. But I think that Dabo Swinney would pretty much have the same result as Urban Meyer. Probably will definitely last longer, of course, but he would definitely fail spectacularly in the NFL. He would not work in the NFL. Dan Mullen, I think, would work in the NFL, but Dabo Swinney would not work in the NFL. But here's the reason why I say you need to listen to these rumors and you need to keep track of the story. Like I said earlier, Mark Davis loves making that big splash hire. He loves swinging for the fences. And Dabo Swinney was decked out of the Raiders. He has great relationships with Derek Carr, Mike Mayock, the Raiders GM, Mark Davis. He's got a great relationship with. So I think that they were trying to build that relationship, build that bond to try to get Dabo to come to Las Vegas and coach the Raiders. Plus, I mean, Mark Davis, I guarantee you, he would throw a ton of money at Dabo. He would give him probably like the amount of power that he gave John Gruden, which is like, entire front office power. So I think this is something you absolutely have to keep an eye on. I don't know if Dabo would make the transition to the NFL, but I think Mark Davis will do everything in his power to get Dabo Swinney to the Raiders.
I think that you have a good point there. Mark Davis and Shad Khan like to go for those big names so that they could sell out tickets to their games, like especially Las Vegas. It's a big city. It's a big media market. And I think that Mark Davis, that's what he's there for. I think the reason why he moved the Raiders to Las Vegas is all about the money.
Definitely. It's all about the money in Vegas with the Raiders.
And Trevor, do you think that we should pay attention to these Dabo Swinney Raiders rumors? And if so, would you be shocked if Dabo Swinney became the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
It would be shocking because look at the year that Clemson had. They had basically lost 4 games, but they end up finishing in the top 20. So it's like he could easily turn Clemson around, have a great recruiting class, and literally be back in the college football playoffs within less than like a year or 2. Literally, he can go back and probably win a national title. But at the same time, I understand, yes, you can win all your national titles and all that stuff. It's not the same as winning the Super Bowl. Let's be clear with that, ladies and gentlemen. But at the same time, it's more of like the college game, the college playbook does not fit in the rules of the NFL, like the grand scheme of things of the NFL. The play style is different, and you have masterminds of head coaches who can literally figure you out within an 18-week season compared to a college football season, which is 12 weeks. Keep that in mind. You have to throw on an extra 6 weeks on to your game plan schedule when someone can easily figure you out in that time frame. So I think it wouldn't make sense for Dabo Swinney to go to the Raiders. And we've seen the transition between, college coaches going to the NFL and they're not doing well. They end up doing better when they start in the NFL and transition to the college level. And look at Nick Saban, for example, an Alabama dynasty that we all know that some people hate and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like that transition. You can easily transition from the NFL to the college and literally build a dynasty and win national titles left and right. Coach Heisman Trophy winners and all that stuff. But going from college to the NFL, there is teething trouble, and it just doesn't make sense for Dabo Swinney's career. He should probably stay at Clemson or, go to the SEC if he wants a better coaching job. But you're winning titles at Clemson. Why leave when you're doing well at the current school that you're at? It just doesn't make sense.
All right. So, anyways, folks. Now, folks. With that being said, here we'll talk about Packers coach Matt LaFleur has the best winning percentage in NFL history for a head coach in his first 47 games, as he is 38-11 in his career as a Packers coach, including a 36-9 regular season record, as well as 2 NFC Championship game appearances. Is Matt LaFleur a top 3 head coach in the NFL? I would put him in the top 5, but he's not top 3, though. What about you, Isaiah?
Wow. Man, this is very tough because you did mention that winning percentage. You mentioned the record. You mentioned what he's done in the first 2 years of his head coaching career. And who knows? He might go to a third NFC championship, which would be 3 in his first 3 years in the NFL, which is like something only Jim Harbaugh has done as an NFL head coach to start his career. I know he's got Rodgers, but I mean, he is a great offensive mastermind. You look at some of the plays that they run; it's really creative and it's really spectacular what they do. But I mean, I got to go with Belichick number one. Belichick's obviously the number one coach, no doubt about that. And then I think you got to go with probably Sean Payton at number two. And then at three, you got to go with Andy Reid. I don't think Matt LaFleur is a top 3 coach. I think he's a top 5 coach. I'll put him there, or I'll put him top 6. I wouldn't put him top 5. I think he's like the 6th best coach in the NFL. I think you got to go with Belichick because 6 or 7 rings, six rings. I mean, look what he's doing this year with Mac Jones and the Patriots. So he's number one. Andy Reid and Sean Payton. Trevor Loro, it's got to be like second. One of those two will be second, but you can have them there. You can debate that all you want. And then number 3 would be whoever is not second between Reid and Sean Payton. And then I think number 4, number 4. I'm trying to think of like all the coaches right now in the NFL, but number 4, wow. I think also you got to put, McVay, Shanahan's got to be on that list. Mike Tomlin's got to be on that list. I probably would put LaFleur over McVay just because of what he's done. I know McVay went to a Super Bowl, but still, I would personally go LaFleur at number 6. I wouldn't put him over Tomlin. I think Shanahan's a better head coach, and also you got to put Belichick. Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, those guys. I think I would put those guys over Matt LaFleur and over Sean McVay.
I think my top 3 head coaches right now in the NFL has to be Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, and John Harbaugh. And then to round out my top 5, one of them I'd put Bruce Arians up there, and then I put Pete Carroll to round out my top 5. So that's where I go with it there. So, Trevor, do you think Matt LaFleur is a top 3 head coach in the NFL? I don't think he's top 3, though.
He's not top 3. Like you guys said, you listed some pretty good names like Mike Tomlin. Like Mike Tomlin really hasn't had a losing season besides this year coming up, I would say. He's basically able to win the AFC North majority of the time, like how the Patriots ran through and won the AFC East. But you also have Andy Reid, who's been to, almost 4 Super Bowls now and has that, impressive record. So you can't leave him out. But at the same time, it's like, yes, you can have all his great winning percentages, but he's only had 2 NFC championship games. I know some coaches haven't even got to at least one. Let's be, clear and frank about that. But at the same time, it's like only 2, but like no Super Bowl. It's not great, but at the same time, you got not an easy path to the Super Bowl in general with what's going on in his side of the division. But before, Tampa Bay built their stack team, like you had a chance to get there. Yes, I know you had the Seattle Seahawks and with, the Legion of Doom and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like you had Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. So, but it's just more of like you didn't draft well to give them a fighting chance to, make deep runs in the playoffs and get to more NFC title games.
All right. So anyway,
well, Loro, actually, I want to add something before we move on this. Do you guys think that Matt LaFleur's been the Packers head coach for 2 years, I believe. Do you guys think if, let's say, LaFleur had at least one Super Bowl appearance, not even just winning the championship, but if he had one Super Bowl appearance, would you put him like over like some of those guys that we named?
Well, it depends how he ends up playing in the Super Bowl game. Does he make it close or does he get blown out?
So, well, I agree with you, Trevor, in that like I think, all the other coaches that we listed over him, what do they have? The ring. And LaFleur, I mean, he's a great coach, and two NFC Championship appearances in 2 years. It's remarkable, but some of the guys, they're just more experienced, and they just have more on their the resume than Matt LaFleur does. So for me, I would not put him top 3. I'd probably put him top 6 or 7 though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, top 6 or 7 should be good for Matt LaFleur's rankings there. So, anyways, we'll talk about this next debate here. And Justin did say that Bruce Arians should be in top 3. I mean, he is, but he's in my top 5. He rounds out my top 5 for head coaches right now in the NFL, But, anyways, folks, now let's have this debate here. It's about Ryan Tannehill, who I like. I mean, he's a decent quarterback. I don't say that he's not really elite. He's just a game manager. And the reason why the Titans are so good is because you got Ryan Tannehill knows how to manage a game. So, I mean, he's not a guy that's going to lead your team. He's going to carry a team on his back because the Tennessee Titans offense is built around Derrick Henry and Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. So, anyways, is Ryan Tannehill a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? And my answer is no. I'm not saying that he's the worst quarterback in the league. Ryan Tannehill is an above average quarterback. And Isaiah, you could agree or disagree with me on what I said about Ryan Tannehill.
Top 10. Wow. Oh man. Looking at all these, quarterbacks right now, that are currently playing in the NFL. I'm going to go by 2021 only. So when I look at Ryan Tannehill, he's done phenomenal stuff for the Tennessee Titans since he's gotten there in 2019 and replaced Marcus Mariota. But when I look at it, I think for me, you got to put Tom Brady over him. Aaron Rodgers is over him. That's already 2. Russell Wilson when healthy is over him. I think you got to also probably put Matthew Stafford. That's 4. Trying to look at Kyler Murray, I think deserves to be over him. Josh Allen, 6. Dak Prescott, that's 7. And then I think
not even named Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, thank you, Trevor. I almost forgot.
Lamar Jackson.
Hey, but it's not like the order though. It's not the order.
I understand, but still, I'm surprised you didn't say Patrick Mahomes as the 3rd or 4th guy.
And I don't know, Justin, if Baker Mayfield is better than Ryan Tannehill or not.
Justin, to answer your question, Baker Mayfield is somewhat better than Ryan Tannehill.
He's somewhat, but I feel like they're on a level playing field. But before I continue, Trevor, you want any thoughts on this? Baker or Tannehill?
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Justin on this. It's more of a, Ryan Tannehill's like that top 15 type of quarterback. He's average. You could probably, put him in the tier, the C tier with Kirk Cousins and company and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's if you're looking at quarterbacks within that close to, top 15, I could argue Joe Burrow is better than Ryan Tannehill. And Joe Burrow leads phenomenal fourth quarter comebacks that we've seen. He took the 49ers to overtime and led a fantastic 2-minute, drive he's a veteran quarterback. So Ryan Tannehill's you can debate where he sits within the top 15. He's in the bottom half of the top 15.
And I was going to say, Trevor, I don't think he's top 10. I think he's top 15 probably. Maybe just sitting in that range. I mean, I can't put him top 10 just because, he's a game manager. I mean, he's nothing more. I mean, we've seen what has transpired with when Derrick Henry has not, been in the fold. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been great at all. So I would say he's probably top 15 in my book. But I see we got John who is here, who finally woke up and decided to deliberately avoid that Nick Mullins topic that I put on the script, and he heard us debate all this Matt LaFleur number 3 coach or whatever it is. So, John, welcome back to the program, man. Glad to have you. Glad your, whatever issues that you had earlier are done. But, Lauro, to answer your question, no, Tannehill's not a top 10 quarterback. I think he's top 15.
Yeah, absolutely. He is top 15, that's for sure. So, anyways, folks, with that being said here, let's move on from the NFL to the hardwood. So, talk about basketball right here. But before we talk about the Nets and Kyrie Irving, we have an in-game update for you as the Los Angeles Lakers tonight are taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, anyways, the Lakers are trailing 95-76 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Isaiah, what are your takeaways on that game so far? And Anthony Davis is out for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, I saw that injury. It was not pretty whatsoever. I mean, he struggled to even walk back into the locker room. So that really, really sucks. Hopefully it's nothing serious. I'm not surprised because the Lakers had like 8 players that was out for this game, and they only had like 7 players dressed and available for this game against the Timberwolves. So I'm not surprised that they're getting blown out. I mean, they literally had to get Isaiah Thomas off the street, and he's playing literally 15 hours after he signs the contract. And so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they lost. Credit to Big B and his Timberwolves. Damn, I nearly said Big Butt, but sorry, Big B. I didn't mean to disrespect you like that. But hopefully he's not watching the show. But the Timberwolves, great team, and the Lakers, they're just decimated right now by COVID and injuries. So you can't expect a team that has 7 players playing. You can't expect the team to compete. So not surprised whatsoever.
And what about you, John? I mean, what is your takeaways on the Lakers losing to Minnesota right now?
I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, you bring in Isaiah Thomas, who unfortunately hasn't been relevant in the NBA since when he's with the Celtics and the tragic situation with his sister, and that's something that sticks you to for the rest of your life. I mean, are we really surprised? I mean, like when you have 7, 8 players down, it doesn't matter if you have the name like the Lakers or the name of the Celtics. A team's a team. You're down. Imagine if we talk about the Patriots or the Chargers. Imagine if they didn't have their starter running back, receiver, tight end, offensive line. I think Sewell, he drafted at the 8th overall out of Oregon. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trevor. It wouldn't really be much of a shocker. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. Lakers lose, it's always a happy day for me because Isaiah's a Lakers fan. But, I mean, it's not really a surprise. It's Minnesota.
All right. So, John, I'm going to stay with you on this one here. So, we got some other questions. There's questions I have for you here. So, do you think that Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 QB in the NFL? And do you think that Matt LaFleur is a top 3 head coach in the NFL?
I cannot. I mean, I don't know who made up this topic, but I think they need to be written up because Ryan Tannehill is not a top 10 quarterback. I think we confuse success along with quarterback success. And what I mean is just because a team has success doesn't mean it's solely on the quarterback. I think like Lower and Isaiah, I think Trevor was alluding to earlier, it was because of Ryan Tannehill. We saw it their first year. Again, him coming from Miami. You had the interception in the AFC Championship game. If Julio Jones is down, and we factor in this next question, you're talking about him being top 10. If Julio Jones is on 100%, if A.J. Brown is on 100%, take them 50% out of the game. Can you trust Ryan Tannehill to bring in with whoever Dante Foreman in to win this football game? No, you can't. And if your answer is no, then there's no way on any football Marvel Cinematic Universe that Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 quarterback. Matt LaFleur, I wouldn't say top 3 though. You have to get that monkey off your back in the next year or two. You have to win a Super Bowl. I mean, you have a talent like Rodgers. I'm not putting all the blame on him, but sooner or later, just like we talk about with the Ravens and Lamar, we talked about with a couple other teams in the past, is that you have to get that monkey on your the monkey off your back. And I think he's a very good head coach with Rodgers in that team, but they need to be able to take that next step, especially when you have Minnesota, who in the next year or two potentially could move on from Cousins, depending on either team success or whoever their next head coach should be, or if he's on the hot seat. So I would say top 6, top 7. But if he gets that monkey off his back, he potentially would be in the conversation with Aaron's into my top 4, just because Bruce Arians just won a championship. Andy Reid been to 2 straight championships with Patrick Mahomes. Tannehill, like Justin said, is a top 15, 16 quarterback. Baker's not better than Ryan Tannehill in any way, shape, or form. But if he gets that monkey off his back, I think he's top 4, top 5 in the future for sure.
Yeah. And also, folks, we want to welcome our producer, Stephen Wang, to the show. Welcome, Stephen. So we got a couple of questions for you, producer Wang. Do you think Matt LaFleur is a top 3 head coach in the NFL? And do you think Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 QB in the NFL? The floor is yours, producer.
Oh, God, he's going to say Mike Zimmer's better.
Well, first of all, guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, with everything that people celebrate around the world. We want to be inclusive of all environments, and most importantly, Happy New Year. We're hoping for an even better 2022. There's a lot of improvement in 2021 from 2020. First of all, guys, big shout out to being able to play a full college football season, and not just the SEC, not just the Big 12, but the Big 10, SEC, Big 12, FCS schools, the Pac-12, the Mountain West. All these conferences got to play a full palette of games, and I'm just so happy for these players who got extra eligibility, and they got the time to spend extra time developing their talent into 2021 and possibly all the way into 2023, depending on how much extra eligibility they got and what class they were in. But moving on to the question about Matt LaFleur, absolutely, this guy is a top 3 head coach. You see what he's done with a lackluster Green Bay offense. The talent is there, no doubt. You've got Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, but you compare that offense to what Tom Brady had in New England's prime days with Wes Welker, Randy Moss back in the day, or Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, and then on the Tampa Bays with Chris Godwin on the Bucks, Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans at one point. It just doesn't run as deep as other offenses. Other than Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, you don't have a lot of targets on that offense, and LaFleur has been able to maximize the potential of Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers together. He's made the running game, the ground and pound physical running game, coexist with Aaron Rodgers' big ego in the passing game. Even though I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, he is a guy who needs that ball in his hands. He needs to constantly be airing it out. You know, he's just like Chris Paul in the sense that he's got to lead the charge, he's got to get his touches, and he just wants to win at the end of the day. But he can be quite stubborn about it. So I think LaFleur has been so good at maximizing the potential of Aaron Jones and pairing him perfectly with Aaron Rodgers. And absolutely, he's a top 3 to top 5 head coach in the NFL. No questions asked. Now, Ryan Tannehill, that's a tricky one. I think him and Kirk Cousins and even Jimmy G, you could toss in that conversation. They're in that tier of quarterbacks where if everything is running well, if they're on a well-oiled machine and they're on a good team, they can make a great impact. But it's when the plays break down. It's when the blitz comes at you. You got to spin out of pressure, throw to the back of the end zone like Burrow did against the Niners. Even though they didn't win that game, he gave them a chance. And even though the Chiefs had to go to overtime to win last night on Thursday Night Football, Mahomes gave that team a chance and gave them the win in the end. So it's players like Mahomes and Burrow that can really capitalize on these broken down plays that are clearly solidly in the top 10. And then you got the guys like Kirk Cousins and Tannehill. They can get it done for you when they're on a well-oiled machine. But the question is, what can they do when things aren't working in their favor? What can they do to rally the troops and come back down from not just a broken play, not just a scoring deficit, but a non-momentous situation? That's what they would need to do to solidify things in the top 10, themselves as a top 10 quarterback. If you put a gun to my head and said, Is Tannehill a top 10 quarterback? I'd say no. He's right outside the top 10, and then I would toss Kirk Cousins in that top 10. But it's very close between those two quarterbacks because they're very much, they are built by the team kind of quarterbacks. They don't build the team. They're built up by the team around them.
And Isaiah, you want something to add to this?
Yes. First of all, Steven, it's great to see you, my man. Hopefully, you're getting to that undisclosed location where you're going to, really safe and really well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem, my man. First of all, how about my guy Austin Reeves yesterday? That big time.
Hey, Isaiah, I got news for you.
Don't start that.
Austin Reeves isn't even a Klay Thompson, let alone a Steph Curry. He's probably not
Steven,
even
I mean,
Steph
he
Curry.
was just an unsung
Steph
hero
Curry's
last
brother.
night.
But
Yeah, and so is Robert Horry. No one puts Robert Horry in the same conversation as Kobe and Steph.
But forget about the Austin Reeves thing, though. But that was a joke. But I gotta ask you this. You said Matt LaFleur is a top 3 head coach in the NFL, right?
Absolutely.
So he's a top 3 head coach. So could we agree that Belichick's number 1? I think we have to agree that Belichick's number 1, right? Belichick's number
better
1.
than him. Yeah.
Wait, what? What did you say?
Belichick's better than him. Yeah.
Yeah, Belichick's better than him. So if he's a top 3 head coach, who are you taking out? Are you taking Sean Payton out? Or are you taking Andy Reid out? Or are you taking Bruce Arians out? Because you said he's a top 3
I would
head
say
coach.
he's
So
better
what are
than
those?
Andy Reid and Sean Payton, based on how he's been able to maximize that Green Bay offense. They're not traditionally a ground and pound team, but he's
Even
been
without the ring, you'll say that LaFleur is better than
fully
Reid
into
and
an
Payton.
offense where Rodgers needs the ball in his hands to throw.
Even
You
without
also-
the ring.
Yeah.
You also got
but
to
I'm
think
saying
about it,
right
Steven.
now-
They're in the NFC North. When Chicago Bears are one and done in the playoffs, the Vikings, they can have their moments, but they're not. It's pretty much up and down. And Detroit's Detroit. So put it in another division with that same type of team.
But
I
with
don't think he
LaFleur,
goes to
they're
2
a
straight championship
consistent
games.
12-4, 13-3 team, man. You got to put him in the top 5 at least. I
Well,
think.
top 5, top 6, easy. Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not going to go full Higgins and say no. He's not even in this universe. He's a very great head coach. I'm just saying, like, if you had the same type of team in another division, I don't know if you would have the same type of talk. But again, this is
Well,
just a
Sean
what-if
Payton's out of the
situation.
discussion. It's been like 10
yeah.
years since he won that Super Bowl, and
He's
all he does
overrated,
is
no
choke
doubt.
down. He chokes to my Vikings, man. And you're the same people that made fun of them for almost blowing it against the Steelers, which does not matter, by the way, because football is a game of runs. Every single game this past week was just like the Steelers-Vikings game, with big comebacks in between that fell short. So y'all can go laughing at that kind of a win, but guess what? It's what the NFL is now. It's a game of runs. It's offensive oriented. You got to learn how to sustain runs, and you got to learn how to break runs. Those are the people who will be champions and will be winners at the end of the day.
Yeah, Steven, there's something I want to say here. I mean, you're right, Steven. Today's NFL is an offensive-driven league. It's a passing league. That's why in today's NFL, you get to see a young head coach get paired with a young quarterback. Don't you think?
I mean, true, but LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers has worked out to perfection. And for the most part, yeah, you want to have young energy. I think, for example, with the Vikings, the problem is that you have a defensive-minded coach in Mike Zimmer who can't even get the defense right. Like by his philosophy, you'd think the defense is like some top 10 defense or something, or doing something good. But when you watch that defense out on the field, dude, I could have sworn it's like Kyle Shanahan's nephew is coaching the game with how bad that defense looks. So, where was I going with this? I think the Vikings need more of a young head coach who's going to maximize the offensive potential. They need someone with an offensive mind. Someone like a Joe Brady, but Brady was just fired, so probably not great timing. But they need someone like that in that locker room.
Yes, they definitely need something like that. That's for sure. So, anyways, right now an in-game update. The Lakers are trailing 82-103 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, Steven, congratulations, my man.
Austin Reeves is totally going to save them. He's going to record 6
He's out with
blocks against
COVID.
Anthony Towns.
He's out with COVID.
That's why they're losing to the Timberwolves, huh?
Yeah, because we have 8 players placed on COVID
I said
lists
it
today.
has. The Lakers are just shorthanded right now. Trevor, I'm going to get to you. What are your takeaways on the Lakers trailing to the Timberwolves 82-105? Is that a team the Lakers should be beating?
You know,
Heck
I know
yes.
that the Timberwolves have been struggling for a franchise for quite some time. But, you know, there's certain teams that you should beat more frequently. Every now and then you do slip up and lose to them, like Stevens and his Vikings to the Lions. It happens. But,
So,
but at the same time, you shouldn't get beat this badly to that team, you know? You can lose closely, but if you get blown out, I understand, yes, injury and COVID and all that stuff. But this is kind of like, you know, somewhat of the Lakers' fault getting old heads on the team. Yes, you can build these super teams with, you know, former superstars who were great in their prime at one point. But at the same time, it's not 2K where age doesn't really affect a player. Let's be honest. We all built, you know, dream teams with, you know, these famous players on them and they win titles. Yeah, that doesn't work in reality. Injury catches up with those who are old. Let's be clear with that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you're right, Trevor. You're absolutely right about that. But now on to one of our topics today in the NBA. Nets guard Kyrie Irving will rejoin the Nets on a part-time basis and only play road games for the Nets due to the Nets in a dire need of healthy bodies on the court, with them experiencing a major COVID outbreak currently. So, what are your thoughts, guys, on Kyrie's return and as a part-time player for Brooklyn? But before we get to that, we have a comment from Ishmael Lancaster that's tuning in. Thank you, Ishmael, for copping on and giving us some comments. And he says,
Why is everybody roast? Like, they're not even my. Really?
He says, hey, can we all agree on this, though? They are still better than John's Rockets.
Wait, hold up.
Oh, my God.
Oh, love the comment, Ishmael. Yes.
the Rockets lose again.
Big it,
Lose
Steven.
again.
Again.
All
15
those,
years of losing. Continues on and on.
They're worse than John. They're worse than John Elcorn. 25 years of losing. The Rockets lose again.
Now you can buy the Christmas edition of Vikings Lose Again with the Rockets now.
all those say is I can't say anything,
Hey,
so no
I can
comment.
say it, man. My Vikings might have slipped up against the Lions, and they might have slipped up against a couple of teams they should have beat, like the Bengals. But guess who they did beat? The Chargers. They beat the Chargers because there's no LT on the team, man. And they
we
beat them
beat
by
the
more
Steelers
than
and
the
you
Chiefs
beat the
them in
Steelers.
regulation, Trevor. We finished it off in regulation. We didn't need
But
no
you
OT.
lost to the
OT.
winless Lions. You're the only team that
Hey,
gave them a win.
We beat an 8-6 Chargers team and a 9-3 Packers team. We're better than our record shows.
But how good are you really though? If you lose to a team that is tied and that has 11 straight losses until you gave them the first dub. Come on now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but anyways, going back on topic here, I'm gonna go with this panel here. So, Isaiah, I'm gonna start with you. What was your thoughts on Kyrie Irving's return as a part-time player for Brooklyn?
It was necessary, but I don't like it because, I mean, dude, this dude is literally going to only play in road games, and he's only going to play in arenas where they don't have the COVID vaccine mandate in for players. So basically, I'm looking at some of these arenas that doesn't have the COVID vaccine mandate right now. The New York Knicks, they have a COVID vaccine mandate, so you can't play at the Garden. He can't play at the Crypto.com arena. So Kyrie Irving is going to basically
Which,
play.
by the way, is a stupid name. Who the heck calls their arena Crypto.com?
Yeah, I agree. It's an absolutely ridiculous name. Whoever whoever made that or made that deal for that partnership needs to be fired. It was terrible. But I mean, dude, this guy is not even in basketball shape. He hasn't played basketball since what? Like, when was the Nets eliminated last year? Like May of last year or June or something like that. Like, this guy hasn't played basketball in forever. When he does play, he always gets hurt. I just don't understand. I mean, dude, right now the NBA already has a COVID outbreak among teams, and the Brooklyn Nets have a COVID outbreak. This guy's not vaccinated. So what? Like, dude, he comes in and he comes into the locker room. Boom! The whole team will end up getting COVID. So I don't like it. I understand why they have to do it though, because I mean they're running out of players. I think the last time I checked, they have like 6 players on their team that's actually healthy, but I don't like it. I think that if you're the Nets, this is the thing you need to say to Kyrie. Either you're gonna get that vaccine and be a full-time player and you're gonna fully commit to us, or you're just gonna sit out. Because I mean it's just ridiculous that sometimes Kyrie's gonna play, sometimes he's not gonna be playing because he can't play because of this whole vaccine. I mean it's gonna be the whole drama circus following Kyrie Irving everywhere he goes. And I guarantee you, the media is just going to keep asking about this vaccine stuff until he either gets it or he just sits it out.
And we want to welcome Ben Kurse to the panel here as he's part of the Extra Point team. So, Ben, welcome aboard to the MI6 Christmas Special. And also want to get your thoughts on Kyrie's return as a part-time player for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA obviously is just looming with crazy positives right now. And Kyrie just being himself, he's obviously not the person that as a Celtics fan, of course, I was ready to have him just boot out, get out of here, and let somebody else take his problems off the court. But, he's deciding to make a decision and go to play for a team, at his own home gym. And, I mean, I guess that's really much I can say about that. I mean,
and also, give us your recap on the Celtics losing to the Warriors.
Yeah, I think my team's probably one of the most bipolar teams out there. It's never consistent. I love Tatum and Brown, but they something has to change. I'm just tired of being average. They have been in the conference finals a couple years past, but I think Brown and Tatum really want to add that third star. I've always wanted to kind of look at Karl Anthony Towns. I think they really need a star big man. I do like Rob Williams. He's definitely progressed as a center, but they really need to add more to their team because you look at the East as a whole. Giannis with the Bucks, they're just one of the top teams. Philly with Joel Embiid and obviously Ben Simmons obviously wants to get traded, he wants to move on, but they're usually always a really good team still. And Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn's up there with KD. They have a powerhouse, and obviously the West is the West. So I mean, the Celtics really have to figure out what they want to do. Of course, they had Ime Udoka, who was on Steve Nash's plan over in Brooklyn. So I mean, he has a good resume over there. But the biggest thing about Ime was he was able to train with Tatum in the Olympics this past offseason. So I mean, Tatum and him get along pretty well. But I think it's their bench. Their bench needs a lot of help. I think Schroeder could be on for a little trade here somewhere. I wouldn't be opposed to getting a guy like Buddy Hield, but it's like, do we wait to get somebody in the off season? And obviously, as Justin, one of my favorites on here, I'm accommodating, but he said, Danny Ainge, obviously that's a big one too, going to Utah. Yeah, it was rough, but I think many people in Boston, of course, the media there, myself as a Boston fan, it was of course tough to see, but they have a lot to go lower. Let's just say that they have a long way to go.
Yeah, the Boston Celtics definitely have a long way to go. We're going to get back to you in just a minute, Ben. We have some football questions to ask you since you're just joining us right now. Steven, I'll go to you on this one. So what's your thoughts on Kyrie being a part-time player?
Well, first of all, man, congrats to Ben Kurse and the whole city of Boston and the whole area of New England to be rid of this beast, Kyrie Irving. But yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Totally. I had a Kyrie Irving jersey and stuff before. I can't believe I had that.
Yeah. Then you guys, after Kyrie had Kemba, and then you got a decent haul out of trading Kemba to Charlotte, or Sorry, traded away Kemba. So, but going back to this Kyrie topic, man, I just gotta say, it's a great thing for the NBA, man. I mean, this guy is pretty much a drama queen and a big time meme at this point. He's just always stirring up nonsense, and well, what can I say? You could call this guy the Colin Kaepernick or the Antonio Brown of the NBA. You know what? At the end of the day, any publicity is positive publicity, especially in the NBA. I mean, it's not filled with those old timer NFL or college football fans. It's full of a very diverse demographic. You love to see this kind of drama. If I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm thinking, hey, man, I mean, Harden and KD aren't exactly drama free. And at the end of the day, these guys don't care about like locker room or any of that. They just want to play with the best players in the world and they want to win games. So they don't care what's going on with their teammate Kyrie. They just want the ball in their hands and they want to have the opportunity to salt the game away in the fourth quarter or overtime to close out the game. So for them, it's not too big of a deal. And then you got to think on the Brooklyn end of the thing, you get a lot of publicity with this Kyrie thing. Lots of Kyrie fans standing up and are going to go watch him in the games that he can play, maybe even the games he can't play. And then the young guys like Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, and all these other guys get more touches with Kyrie Irving out. So they're nice and satisfied. So overall, it's a win-win for Kyrie and the Bucks. They're just not going to hammer down on Kyrie because they're getting the publicity out of it. They're getting the viewership, they're getting the audience out of it. So they're not going to say anything about it. And then in regards to the Celtics, Ben, I do feel a little bit of sympathy for them. I admired them when they got KG from the Timberwolves and had that championship run. But you know what? There's just so much of a difference between good and great. James Franklin from Penn State would say, as you know, Trevor. There's just such a big gap between that. It's very much harder to be great than good. And good is just it's the enemy of great, And at the end of the day, I think the Celtics are kind of like the Niners of the NBA, where it's like they can always get close and have that like once every 4 years special run to maybe the finals or the conference finals, but they're always beaten by that superstar guy like LeBron James or Patrick Mahomes in the clutch. And that's what I have to say about that. You know what? The Warriors are a good team. They're a good team. It's not like they lost to the Timberwolves.
Well, we got breaking news to be talking about right now in the NBA, folks. All right, the Los Angeles Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves 92-110. Stephen Wang, you must be happy.
Skull Timberwolves. I got on my Vikings hat right now. I'm riding in the car and everything over to Sacramento, man. That's just amazing. This is a Timberwolves team that's waited a long time to be consistently competitive, and they're going to wait some more. But tonight, I get to cherish this win over Austin Reeves, who's sat his big ass on the bench where he belongs. And at the end of the day, man, woof, woof.
Woof, woof. Oh, my God. I didn't expect that last part. Oh, my God.
They did that at the free throw line when the opposing team is shooting. Hey, now, Loro, was that game at Target Center or was that in Staples Center?
Target Center. It was in Minneapolis in the freezing cold.
Yeah, man.
And Anthony Davis left the game with an ankle injury.
With Isaiah as a Lakers fan, he's probably going to blame it on the cold weather, man. It was just so cold and,
No, it's the refs. It was corruption. Remember the refs? The refs were there.
It was the refs. It was the temperature. It was AD getting hurt. It was his boy Austin Reeves being out. Sorry, Isaiah. I got to inform you, I didn't bring your baby goat shirt to the vacation because I don't support scrubs,
Boy, then why do you support Kirk Cousins? That's another conversation for another day. Lower you keep it going.
We're gonna put Kirk Cousins and Austin Reeves in the same sentence. Hey,
no,
John,
it's just a little tease.
Your Denver Broncos might actually make the playoffs if they had a competent quarterback like Kirk Cousins.
Oh wow!
He would be Mr. Can Cousins. Not only would he be Mr. Can Cousins for the Broncos, he'd be Mr. God Cousins.
Can I have my thoughts on Kirk Cousins?
Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
All right, here we go. So, as a Patriot fan myself, obviously I have really nothing biased about Kirk Cousins, but I gotta say this: he to me has had an extraordinary year this year in terms of his stats. Nobody really gives credit for. However, the Vikings, Stephen Wayne, as yourself as a Viking fan, you probably can relate. I don't know what I can say. How do they always try to choke? It's like, you're not the Falcons. You're not the team that always, like for me, when we beat them, like choking. I mean, is it just Mike Zimmer? I mean, is he just that
we're
bad?
pretty much the Falcons of the NFC North, if we're being real here.
I mean, I don't think you guys are that bad though.
I mean,
I think it's your coach, man. I think it really is your coach.
The Vikings and the Falcons are in essence like similar teams. So you look at it, once every 10 years, we make some special run to like the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game. Maybe once every 5 years. I wouldn't say 10. 10's a bit long. Once every 5 years, we make a special run. Once every 4 years, we'll win our division, pull something special out of our hat. Maybe the defense plays really good. Maybe the running back is really good that year. You had like Michael Turner on the Falcons, and then now on the Vikings, you have Dalvin Cook, and then you had AP in the past. There's Devontae Freeman on the Falcons was really good. But we can never put it together, like we never have the passing game, the running game, and the defense all playing complementary football at the right time and playing elite. Like even the Falcons team that made the Super Bowl and the Vikings team under Brett Favre that made the NFC Championship game, those were all heavily flawed teams. Like when it came to defense, we just weren't elite defenses. Like, yes, our offense can put up points, and yes, we had elite quarterbacks in those years, but it's just like there's always some sort of hole in our team. And then you look at Atlanta and Minneapolis as sports markets, like when people immigrate to the U.S. or when they travel to the U.S. or you put $10 million into someone's pockets, no one's going around saying, oh, Jesus, I really want to go live in Atlanta or Minneapolis. No, people, they want to be in New York City. They want to be in Los Angeles, Miami, at least to Seattle, So on level, we're very similar, Atlanta, Minnesota. And then team level, the Falcons and the Vikings are very similar franchises. You might as well call us the Falcons of the North. I'm not surprised at all how we can't put it together, man. And the last thing I'm going to say is part of it, is it Kirk Cousins' salary that's an issue? Yes, but it's also the market. And you know what? At the end of the day, we shouldn't be playing defense like that. Kirk Cousins, he doesn't kick. He doesn't play defense for us. He puts us in these situations to win the game, and then we don't do our job on defense. What can I say?
Well, I got to say this, Stephen Wayne. You might get your gift with Aaron Rodgers possibly going to John's team in the Denver Broncos this offseason.
Okay, first of all, let me make this very abundantly clear, Ben, because you aren't here on the draft show.
Uh-huh.
If Aaron Rodgers came to Denver, I would flip a table. I would flip another table because
– oh, my God. John is allergic to greatness, man. First with Kirk Cousins.
Because I wanted him with the Broncos.
Kirk Cousins isn't greatness, but okay.
He would be great on the Broncos. I'll tell you that.
Okay, Steven, unfortunately,
I feel like he would be the same if he was on the Broncos. It's right? Really there's not much there.
They're 7-6 without him. They're 7-6 with Teddy Bridge under the water.
Under the water.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's my Cardinals fan. My friend, he's a Cardinals fan. He calls him Teddy Bridge under the water. Never believed in that guy. He was right, man. He was right. For all you can say about Kirk Cousins, man, he is infinitely more of a franchise guy than, I don't know, Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater. And freaking, who else was on that Broncos team? Trevor Siemian. And, God.
Wow.
Really,
Isaiah. On and on, man.
That's pretty funny right there. So, anyways, Trevor, I'm going to go back to you. Get back on here. So, what is your takeaways on Kyrie Irving being a part-time player in Brooklyn?
That is more work for Steve Nash and coming up with a game plan strategy where it's like 1 week I may have I guess a star player in Kyrie Irving, and then the next week he's out because I go to an arena that has a COVID protocol and you have to get vaccinated. So it's like it messes up the lineup. It's no consistency. And what happens if Kyrie has a hot game? He gets on a hot streak, and then literally the next week he can't play. So it's like it's really no help to the team. And it's just basically like you get vaccinated and you play the full game season. I understand there's still load management out there for a lot of these star players, but at the same time, if you are on and off every other week, how do I build a team around you to actually make you feel like you're contributing to the team and actually help us get to the NBA playoffs? The goal is to win a title. And if you're going on and off, that does not help us win an NBA title. Let's be clear with that, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't do it.
Trevor, don't worry, man. Steve Nash can be the next Bill Russell, man. He's going to come out of retirement and be a player coach. It's like Kyrie's off. Hey, I'm going to go on. And you know what Steve Nash said? If he had the green light when he was playing back in his NBA days, boy, he'd be putting up Steph Curry numbers. Here's his chance, man. Here's his opportunity. Be a player coach for the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, we'll have to see.
Totally serious with that one, by the way, Laurel.
Yes, and then John, what is your thoughts on Kyrie's return as a part-time player for the Brooklyn Nets?
I mean, we'll just have to honestly see what happens.
All right, so anyways, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're off to a sizzling 18-12 start. Woo! And they currently sit in fourth place in the Eastern Conference, and it's the best start without LeBron in almost 25 years. So, John, I know you're a Cavs fan. What are your takeaways on this?
First of all, if we were stupid enough to trade for Simmons or all those other players we talked about, we would go 82 and 54. 64, I'm sorry. Because I don't know. Like it's nice to have. It's great 18-12, fourth, I think fourth or fifth in the East. But I feel like it's giving fans this season false hope because you had your guy in Colin Sexton who was your starter player. Now he's out for the season. And they clearly have a coaching organization that doesn't know how to develop young players or how to develop their game or their shot. So it's nice to have right now, but I think overall, once we go back on the season, you're like, oh man, you just gave us false hope. And so, I mean, we'll see what happens, but it's nice to have right now, but now I'll enjoy it while I can.
And Isaiah, what is your takeaways on the Cleveland Cavaliers sizzling start?
Two thoughts on it. Number one, Evan Mobley is a monster. This guy coming out of USC, I expected him to be good. I didn't expect him to be this good coming out of USC. But this guy is unstoppable in the paint. Him along with Jared Allen and Markkanen. I mean, they have a really big lineup, and they're using it to their advantage. And it's going really well right now for the Cavaliers. And Garland has played really well without Sexton. Isaac Okoro has played really well. And, you know, this Cleveland team, I actually picked them to make the playoffs before the season started. Laurel, you know about that.
You did what?
Yeah.
Take that back, right? Take it back. Take it back on my Cavs.
Well, the curse will continue now.
Oh, Isaiah, you just jinxed my Cavs.
Well, I mean, look, I picked him to make the playoffs because I was like, you know, with Sexton, I think he's going to take another step. I like
And he got out.
Markkanen. You know, Kevin Love's actually coming off the bench and has played like decent minutes for once. But I mean, I'm not really that surprised that the Cavs are like doing what they're doing. I thought that they were not a really good team, but I thought they were like a good, decent team. I thought that they could get one of the final play-in spots in the Eastern Conference, and I absolutely still feel that way. And the second thing I have on this is that, you know, you guys know I love Colin Sexton. I think he's really underrated. But my take on Colin Sexton about how he was so good and about how the Cavs should build around him. Ooh, it's not looking so hot right now because the Cavs are actually playing better without Colin Sexton. I mean, they were 500 with Colin Sexton. They were like 6 games above 500 without Colin Sexton. Guys like Garland, Okoro, Mobley, Allen, they've all like done really well without Sexton. So, I mean, this might be like, I'm trying to think of like a situation where, you know, it's like I'm trying to think like off the top of my head, like the situation in the NFL where, you know, you have a player, a young, really good player, but when he's gone, the team actually plays better around him. I'm forgetting who it
Odell
was.
Beckham.
Oh, Odell, yeah, it might be like the Odell thing where like Sexton doesn't have like he doesn't got the head case, but it might be that situation where Cleveland's like better off without Colin Sexton. Because the thing about Colin Sexton is he needs the ball in his hand. He needs the guy that the offense runs through him. But now you're seeing without him, you know, when they have ball movement going around, got moving the basketball, and everybody's getting involved. They're playing much better without Colin Sexton. So, and also on defense, they're really stingy and they're really much better without Colin Sexton. So, I might be wrong. Cleveland might be better off without Colin Sexton than better off with him.
Take it back. Take it back.
I think it's
Go ahead,
too
Laurel.
soon to tell, man. I think it's too soon to tell. You got to
Exactly.
give it at least a full year before you make that kind of conclusion. And whatever decision you make, it's going to be very tough to defend at that moment. A very similar situation I remember is when the Warriors had two amazing guards, as you guys recall, back in the late 2000s, and Monte Ellis and Steph Curry. Eventually, they had to make a decision between the two. Who are they going to build around? Steph Curry, he had the friendlier deal. He had more potential in terms of playing years ahead of him, and in terms of being a high upside, albeit a high downside player because of the health concerns. And ultimately, the goal is to win a championship, right? So they gave the torch to a more high upside and more volatile player in Steph Curry. And at the time, they made a very unpopular decision in getting rid of Monte Ellis for a slightly underperforming first overall pick big man in Andrew Bogut. And so this is kind of that similar situation, but I think you got to give it until the end of the year and see how well the Cavs finish, because I've seen my fair share of Timberwolves teams that started out mildly above 500, maybe even a few games above 500, and they melted at the end of the year due to injuries or chemistry or whatever. So let's give it till the end of the year, folks. And if they do well, this could be another Monte Ellis, Steph Curry type situation. I'm not saying this is a long-term championship team. I'm saying simply that Colin Sexton could be that bad player, you know, in a good way. You know, like he's got a mean dribble, he's got a great scoring ability and decent defense, but for some reason or another, the ball just moves more efficiently with him off the team. And you trade him away for maybe a great defensive big man or maybe some great shooters.
All right. So, Ben, what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Cavaliers shot right there? Hot start, right? I meant.
Yeah, they've had a good season. You know, they've had a lot of their, like John was saying as a Cavs fan himself, they've had a really good team. They've built a lot of young guys. Of course, they've kind of went into kind of a new culture. Obviously, with the old teams, obviously they kind of like a main type of player with like Kyrie or LeBron or whatever. But now it's the young guys, and Colin Sexton's a beast. As they say, he's the young bull, and it's tough to see him go down. You know, he obviously a former Kentucky. You go to Kentucky? I forgot where he went to for college. Really good school. We went to some really good school. I forgot where, but really good guard.
University of Alabama.
Alabama, that's right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I was close. No, not really close, but still, good basketball school. But yeah, Isaac Okoro has been really jumping in my eye. He's a really good player this year. Evan Mobley, as Isaiah was saying, I've seen the Celtics play the Cavs twice in Cleveland, and they've given them a run for their money full time. So they're a really good team. JP Bickerstaff, I think, is their coach, and he's definitely, I think, the right fit for them. I don't know how long this streak's going to last, but you know, the Cavs were just so awful to watch last year. I mean, they were just, you know, a poor team, and I think maybe it's just getting the right pieces. Ricky Rubio turned out to be a really good offseason pickup for them. He's turned out to be a really good player. You know, he's been a good player in his whole career, but and Jarrett Allen should be in the combo in terms of, I mean, if you look at his stats right now, he's just been absolutely going off. You know, I really like Jarrett Allen in Brooklyn, and now he's averaging 16 points and 11 rebounds. So I mean, 16-11, you know, average on both sides. I mean, he's doing it all for sure. So, But I mean, they're obviously, in a really tough, the Eastern Conference is obviously tough with a lot of other teams, and but with the way that they've been playing, I mean, they've been in the middle of the pack, and I give them a lot of credit for the start right now.
All right. So, Trevor, what is your thoughts on the Cavs' hot start?
Well, with the Cavs' hot start being 30 games into the NBA season, almost close to the 40-game mile marker, I'd say it's a little, young in the NBA season. I know we got like the full 82-game season ahead of us, so we're getting, roughly close to halfway. My thing is, can they keep this up until All-Star Weekend? That's the real question. If you can keep that momentum to that point, you're almost there to the playoffs, and you almost kind of, got your fate locked in. You're trying to fight for that maybe 6th seed. They're probably not going to be in the, top 4, but trying to get, 6, 7, 8. And then you also got to factor in, if you're on the outside looking in, you got the play-in tournament now. So that kind of shifts the whole momentum of how the Cavs need to really focus on. It's like, do they want to play in the play-in tournament or, get that solidified seed and, not have to worry about saying, oh, I could be eliminated being in the 8th seed because now I have to play in the play-in tournament. And after I do that, I have to take on the number 1 seed. And that just doesn't seem like a fun pathway to go if you're a Cavs fan, I would say.
All right. So, anyways, I think I'm impressed with how the Cavs are starting off. And I think if they continue to play that way, I think they're going to probably find a way to get into the playoffs or kind of get into that play-in. So they're pretty much a playoff contender now from what I'm seeing from them. But anyways, hopefully they're not pretenders though, guys. Anyways, Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks have struggled this season as they're off to a 13-16 start. They currently sit 12th in the Eastern Conference. Also, the Knicks' major prize acquisition this offseason, Kemba Walker, has been benched, and he is out of the rotation. So, anyways, Trevor just left us, and anyways, how concerned should we about the Knicks' slow start? For me, it's very concerning. I mean, Tom Thibodeau is a really good coach. I know Ben knows Tom Thibodeau very well from his Boston Celtic days with Doc Rivers as the associate head coach. Tom Thibodeau is a really good coach with experience, and he can lead teams to the playoffs. And I think the Knicks have been really good because of Thibodeau taking over that franchise. Ben, what are you had your hand up. What are your takeaways from the Knicks slow start? And don't you think that Tom Thibodeau has done a good job coaching the New York Knicks?
Yeah, he definitely is the right motivator coach. I mean, he's been around this league for a while, obviously with the Bulls and stuff. And the one thing I do like about Thibodeau is, yes, he can definitely get very grouchy, he can get very angry and stuff, but he obviously lets the players in terms of play to the best of their ability when they're not. Knicks definitely on a slow start right now, and I think it's because Julius Randle is a good player, but obviously he was just absolutely an MVP type of candidate last year the way he was playing. They've been kind of hit crazy lately with COVID too. Obi Toppin, who's one of my favorite players, obviously coming from my brother's college, and I got to meet Obi Toppin in Brooklyn, which is really cool. He's definitely playing a lot more off the bench. He's done great. As Justin was saying, Kemba Walker, myself from UConn, love Kemba for sure. Obviously his injuries kind of backed him up in, the Celtics, but and obviously he's not the same player he used to be. I think the Celtics and the Kemba and the Evan Fournier type of deal, they pretty much lucked out in terms of it. I think that, Fournier, yeah, he's had his spurts here and there with the Knicks, but the Knicks are the Knicks at the end of the day. They, with a lot of New York sports around me, it never's easy. They always seem to just kind of be in the mix for a little while. But last year was really fun, the Garden with the playoffs and stuff. I wanted to go to a game, but just that vibe there, especially when they're just inviting fans in, that place for sure definitely was rocking. I hope to go to one, after the new year, because I haven't been to one. One of my favorite games at the Garden was two games actually. Carmelo Anthony's Knicks debut against the Bucks. That was one of my favorite games to see. And then when they played Anthony Davis, Pelicans, when Anthony Davis was really, really good. He scored a 50-point game when I was there. So, the Knicks, I think, they really need to just, they have some decent pieces, but they just never finish. It's New York sports at the end of the day. Do I trust them to, make a run? I don't know if they can make a run, but I do think that they can stay within reach of the postseason.
Absolutely. And then, Isaiah, what are your takeaways on the Knicks? How concerned should you be about the New York Knicks right now?
You should be very concerned, and I'm honestly not surprised that the Knicks are struggling right now because I really think they overachieved last year, and I thought that they, like I told you, Laurel, when we did our NBA preview show, that sometimes when you're out of nowhere, you just come up and you hit someone in the mouth. They don't expect it, but then once they recover, they will spit you right back and really expose you. And I think that's what's happening with the Knicks. They came out of nowhere. They hit other teams in the mouth. Those teams didn't expect it. And then now they recovered and they're hitting the Knicks in the mouth. And the Knicks can't do anything about it. And when you look at the Knicks, I think what's really concerning is their defense. Their defense was one of the best in the NBA last season. And this year, I'm looking at it right now. I got them right now at number 10 or number 12, actually, in defense. So that's a major dip for the New York Knicks. And then, when you look at their offense hasn't always been great, but it's been their defense. But now they're not playing defense, and you got guys like Kemba Walker, who was your big acquisition over the offseason. He's been benched, and he has he's gotten out of the rotation. Randall is not really like that big time superstar. He just played really well last year, but he's a great player. I'm not going to say he's not a great player, but he's not like that superstar for the Knicks. And, the Knicks just have, a lot of players that really overachieved last year, and now they've just fallen back to where they were before last season. So I'm not surprised that the Knicks are off to a slow start. I think Thibodeau is a great coach, and he's the right coach for them, but I think if you're a Knicks fan, you should be concerned because the Eastern Conference is not as strong as the West. So you should be able to, with a team like the Knicks, you should be able to get a 6 seed or into the play-in tournament. But the Knicks sit at 12 right now, and they're always constantly disappointing people. I remember they lost. I'm forgetting who they lost to, but it was to a really bad team, and you just can't lose to some of those bad teams if you want to be the top team in the NBA. So I'm not surprised by the Knicks start. I think the Knicks they have just the Knicks have fallen back to what everybody thought of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm going to go with Steven on this one. Should you be concerned about the New York Knicks right now?
Absolutely. And the reason why is because we have had our excuses about teams like the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. They don't have the sexiest of destinations, as you would say. When I mention those list of cities and those states that, people they want to move to when they travel to the U.S., millionaires and multimillionaires, they want to live in these cities and these states. I mentioned New York, Miami, California. These destinations are big, big game, especially for celebrities. If you're talking celebrities, these are the places that you want to get your name known. And New York has long since, even the 1800s, been that destination. Even you could go back to the 18th century. It's been that destination where you make your name known. New York, everybody knows about New York, man. And the problem is that when you're building a team, you got to have a team that is somewhat competent without the superstar before the superstar comes for them to attract that superstar. You look at a team like Golden State or Miami. Maybe they didn't have all the pieces when LeBron and KD wanted to go to them. Remember, KD wanted to go to the Warriors before they were a championship team. They talked about it in the 2014 Summer Olympics. LeBron James went to a Miami Heat team that was consistently, if not a playoff contender, at least a lower playoff seed. They were still making the playoffs without LeBron and Chris Bosh. In the New York Knicks, yes, you got the mecca of basketball here. You got the New York City team, but you got to at least meet me halfway here and be a playoff team for me as a superstar to jump over there and to put my faith, my body, my career into this city and into this team. If you're the New York Knicks, your target is not necessarily to go to the finals or beat the Boston Celtics and the Sixers consistently. Your target is to make the playoffs consistently so you can go to these top free agents and say, hey man, if we had you, you are that one missing key piece that can bring us to the conference finals, that can bring us to the championship and bring us to the promised land. But if you can't even meet me halfway and bring me a spot to the lottery, then I'm not going to put my chips on the table for you. And that's the problem with the Knicks. They got the sexy destination, they got the sexy history, but they don't even have a spot in the lottery right now, and they got to get to that place consistently. We can't have fluke years like Isaiah said. We got to make 2020 to 2021 the norm for this franchise, and that's how you attract the next KD, the next Giannis, or the next LeBron to your team.
All right.
Was only on the cusp of the playoffs when LeBron joined, and same with the Warriors when KD was interested in joining.
All right. So, anyways, folks, with that being said here, we were going to get to John about this. So, anyways, now we'll talk about some baseball coming up here. So, the MLB and the owners recently held talks as the lockout drags on. How encouraging is this? When they had talks yesterday, I thought it was encouraging that they're still talking about it. I mean, I think that when you look at it, I feel like that there will be. I think that I'm very encouraged by these talks, folks, because I think that what you see from this lockout, what you see is that the both sides are talking. They're talking about the non-economical stuff, like talk about drug policies and all that. I'll talk about expanded playoffs and all that. But I think that from what I've gathered is that the core economic issues will be addressed next month. Ben, I'm going to start with you on this one. How encouraged are you by that the owners and players both had talks on a new CBA yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know some people are heading out. I'm going to have out myself here after this. But to answer your question, Laurel, as we said, I think this lockout's definitely going to be prolonging for a while. And I think it's going to take some months. But what I do have to say is this for sure, the union and I think the owners are going to have their fair share like they did a couple of years ago. Talk it out and see what type of solution that they can come to. But as I see it right now, I think the best thing is for them to kind of talk out money, talk out finances, and then from there see kind of what happens.
And then Isaiah, what was your takeaways from yesterday when the owners and players had a meeting yesterday about a new CBA? How encouraged are you by this? You know what? I'm very encouraged by this.
I thought it was a great first step. Because, they hadn't, since the lockout started, a couple weeks ago, they hadn't talked at all. So I was really concerned about it. But now they did start conversations, start negotiations again. So that's a good thing. But when I look at, when I look at this, I'm trying to think of like these negotiations. But when I look at it, I'm like Ben, I'm kind of, I don't know what to say about it because, we know what happened back in 2020 when they were trying to negotiate a deal to restart the 2020 MLB season with COVID. And, what happened was the players and the owners just couldn't get along. Heck, they couldn't even agree on what to order for lunch, let alone this contract. So I just don't know, Loro. I think that for me, it's just really, it's really concerning that they're not going to talk economics until, January. I think they should do that now because why wait until January? It makes no sense. Just talk it now. Like everybody sit in a room for a week. Nobody goes anywhere. Sit in a room for an entire week. You can sleep in that room and negotiate. That's what you got to do. It's time to just, put your differences aside and just stop meeting for 7 minutes, and when you agree, the first time you agree, then you just walk out. Like, no more of that. Sit in a room for an entire week and talk it out like men. Like Justin says, be a man about it.
Yeah, you got a good point there. You have to be a man about it. I mean, I think I have a gut feeling that the 2022 season will begin on schedule, despite the lockout.
Hey man, I'm hopeful, but I don't know because some of these players and these owners they just they just can't get along, and it's like really sad because Laurel, they think that, oh yeah, if there's no baseball, it's gonna hurt the players, or the owner thinks it's gonna hurt the players. The players think it's gonna hurt the owners. No, it's gonna hurt the fans. It's gonna hurt us because we don't get to watch baseball. We don't get to go to baseball games, and for me, I don't get to work baseball games. So that's why, like, I really want there to be a baseball season here in 2022, and I really hope that these guys just sit in a room and just talk it out like men and come to some sort of an agreement. It's ridiculous.
There's still time for it. I mean, look, it's the holiday season. I mean, the players want time off from this right now. That's why they want to wait till January, Isaiah, to talk about the economical issues. They met yesterday, and then they're going to take 2 weeks off because they want to spend time with their families for Christmas and the New Year's.
I get that. It's just that I'm just like, why are you delaying it? If you're going to talk, just bring it up now. Bring it up now, and maybe both sides can get an idea of what the other side wants, and you can have like some sort of maybe reaching a middle ground right now instead of waiting to January and then start talking about it. That's my big issue with this.
We'll see. I mean, you don't expect a lot of progress made until January. So I think we're going to see a lot of progress in January and also get this thing done by the early part of February. So anyways, now we're going to hand it over to Isaiah now as he has the Christmas fun. As we don't have a lot of our team with us as they already went to bed and all that. So it's just me and Isaiah for the rest of the night.
All right, Laurel, thank you so much for giving me the floor. So the Christmas holidays is officially upon us, and Christmas is about like a week away from being officially here. So tonight we're gonna have some fun. This is our Christmas special. We're gonna have some fun here on our Christmas special. So we'll start with like the first segment here of our Christmas fun portion of the show, and that is Santa's wish list. And this is like the sports version of the Santa's wish list that everybody does. And so Santa's wish list, what this is that we are going to give you our 3 wishes that we want Santa to grant to our sport teams this year. So Laurel, I'll start with you first on this before I give you mine. What are like 3 wishes you want Santa to grant to your sports teams this year?
I'm going to start with the Dodgers. I want them to bring back Clayton Kershaw and Kenley Jansen. And then also, I think that we're going to see a universal DH in MLB. So that's why I think that we're going to see a universal DH in baseball. So I think that's going to benefit the Dodgers. It's going to feel like Christmas because the Dodgers, have a lot of good hitters. And as for the Lakers, since you and I both are Laker fans, I just want the Lakers to start stringing together a win streak because I feel like that I don't want them to be in this play-in tournament again. I feel like that they need to start winning games now. And losing to Minnesota was not really was inexcusable. And you can't lose to a team like Minnesota because Minnesota, a lot of people think they're dysfunctional. The T-Wolves definitely have a talented roster, but they're not really good. And as for my Patriots, I want another Alabama player to join the New England Patriots next season when we get to the 2022 NFL draft, because you have John Mechie, who's one of the wide receiver prospects that is highly touted, and we got Ashwin joining us here. And I also want to look up here another Alabama football wide receiver that is also entering the draft, Jamison Williams, who I was thinking about. That's the name I was thinking. I would like to see Jameson Williams join the New England Patriots in 2022. That way you have a big three of Alabama running backs, the Alabama triplets, play for the Patriots in Mac Jones, Jameson Williams, and Damian Harris. That's my three wish. That kind of rounds out my three wishes for my sports teams this Christmas.
All right, and like Laurel mentioned, we do have a very special guest joining us here on this Christmas special for the Christmas portion of the show. That is Ashwin Kumar, who always is a great friend of mine, and he always tunes into our show and shares it everywhere. So Ashwin, thank you for hopping on with us tonight. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, me and Laurel, we're doing great. We've been on here for almost, 2 hours here on this Christmas special. So, Ashwin, you joined us for the fun portion of it. It's the Christmas part of our Christmas special. So, thank you for joining us here. But for me, I'm going to give you my three wishes that I want Santa to grant my sports teams this year. Let's start with the 49ers. Laurel, call me crazy, but I want another Super Bowl appearance for the San Francisco 49ers. You might want to pull out that what clip that you have, but I want another Super Bowl appearance. I watched the Niners-Packers ending from the NFC Championship yesterday, and I was so pumped up. Yeah, I was so pumped up. I was so hyped up, and I was like, dang, I really want to experience that. The final minutes of the NFC Championship where Kyle Shanahan is hugging all of his coaches and hugging all of his players, and, we're celebrating in the stands that we're going to the Super Bowl. I really want to see the Niners go to the Super Bowl again and hopefully redeem themselves and bring the trophy back to San Francisco this year. That's number one. Let's go to the Lakers. I'm like you, Laurel. I want the Lakers to just be consistent. I want them to go on a huge win streak and show the world that, they have all this talent and they finally put it together. And also I want, Frank Vogel to finally give Austin Reeves more minutes and maybe even a starting role for the Lakers. Maybe you like bench Bazemore or something and you give him like a larger role because like I said the other night, that kid is special. He is special and he deserves to play more. And the last wish that I have is for Santa to grant is, please, Santa, do not let the Oakland A's do a fire sale. And I think Laurel knew I was going to go there. Do not let Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Chris Bassett, Sean Manaea, and all the A's players that are rumored to be traded, please do not let them be traded. Please, I am begging you, Santa. That's the one wish that I really want because I want to go to Oakland next year and work for the A's, and I want it to be, it to be very fun and we have, great games and stuff like that. I don't want to see 100-loss team on the field next year. But Ashwin, before we go to you, Ashwin, we'll go to some comments. Let's see. Let's see what Justin has. Justin's for him. I think Laurel, you will probably love this. He says, Santa, make Mac Jones a Super Bowl champion. Does he mean that this year, Laurel?
I think it could be this year because the New England Patriots are playing really, really good football lately. They have not lost a game since week 6 against the Dallas Cowboys. And the Patriots, you said this, Isaiah, that you think that the Patriots are already going to overtake the Buffalo Bills for the AFC East crown by the end of the season.
Yes, I think they are. I think that they have the division pretty much locked up. I think the Bills right now, I could see them losing like 1 or 2 more games. And I think with the Patriots, I think that they have the tiebreaker already. They have a couple game leads or a 1-game lead on the Buffalo Bills. I just think it's a matter of time until they lock it up. But Ashwin, I know you're not a sports fan. So what are like 3 wishes? Like you don't have to do sports, but what are like 3 wishes from Santa that you want this Christmas?
Well, I want a new house. I don't want to share a room like with my brother and we control when to go to bed because the brother has to go to bed. I want my own room, my own space. That's my number 1 goal. A new house with my own room. Private house with 5 to 6 rooms. My second goal that I want is I want a gaming PC so I can play games.
How about your
And
third
my
wish?
third goal is I want to become a driver. I want to get my permit and start driving my license. That's what I want to do.
All right, that's really, really solid wishes from Ashwin for Santa. Let's move on to our Christmas debates portion of the show. And our first topic is, you guys all know that during Christmas time, there's a lot of great drinks, like great classic drinks like eggnog, hot chocolate, hot apple cider, peppermint mocha, all that stuff. So here's the question for you guys. Eggnog, hot cocoa, or hot apple cider? Which one do you guys prefer? Ashwin, I'll start first with you. You prefer eggnog?
A hot cocoa or actually eggnog. I prefer.
All right, Ashwin goes with hot cocoa. Lauro, how about you? You go eggnog, hot cocoa, or hot apple cider? Which one is your choice?
It's cold right now in Burbank, California, so I'm going with hot cocoa.
Nice.
Yes. Well, for me, I've never been really an eggnog fan. I think I've only drank it like twice in my life. Hot apple cider, drank it once, didn't like it. So I gotta agree with all of you guys. It's gotta be, for me, it's gotta be hot chocolate, because I love chocolate. Any drinks with chocolate in it, I would definitely be first in line to drink it. And I love, some hot chocolate with whipped cream, and you got the little,
that
chocolate.
sounds good.
Yeah, the little chocolate drizzle on the whipped cream. It's so good. So that for me, I think is for me, hot chocolate definitely better than hot apple cider or eggnog. And Justin has one, and Justin's one is Santa. Make the Lakers the world champs this year. Well, Justin, I'm confused. And, Laura, I think, you probably would agree with me. Isn't Justin a Celtics fan? Isn't Justin a Celtics fan?
He is a Boston Celtics fan, and the Celtics right now, although they lost today to the Golden State Warriors, Isaiah, I mean, the Boston Celtics, they have talent, but it's not enough. I mean, you can't rely on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to score you a lot of points to carry you to a victory each and every night. If I were the Celtics.
Yeah, you can. You definitely can. And, the thing is that, so this is why I was asking Justin was a Celtics fan. Laurel, Justin's a Celtics fan. How can he be saying that he wants the Lakers to be world champs? It's like saying it's like you're a Patriots fan and you saying that you want the Miami Dolphins or the Jets to be world champs. Like, I don't get it. Do you?
I mean, I don't really get it here, but he also said something like he wants Mac Jones versus Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. To answer that question, Justin, that could happen. That would be epic.
Yeah,
Brady and Belichick going head-to-head in the Super Bowl, that would be something.
Oh, yeah. That would definitely be epic. And I agree with you, Justin, on this next wish. We want JT Daniels to start, Santa. Yes. Kirby Smart, if you're listening, no more Stenson Bennett. I want JT Daniels in the starting lineup. JT Daniels, you brought him in for a reason. Well, then use him. And let's go win a championship with JT Daniels at quarterback. The final Christmas debate topic before we go into our final segment, which is the Christmas trivia segment of the show. And that is gingerbread cookies versus candy canes. So, Laurel, answer the age-old question. Is it gingerbread cookies for you, or is it candy canes?
I love as much as I like candy canes, I prefer gingerbread cookies. I'm a cookies kind of guy,
Wow, okay. Do you like the gingerbread cookies with milk, or do you like to eat it separately?
I like to eat it separately. I like to put my own frosting on it, my Pillsbury, and it makes it look tasty and it looks like it's good,
Oh yeah. Definitely, man. Ashwin, how about you? Gingerbread or candy cane?
I would candy cane. I would say maybe like a Skittles, a candy cane, or a Starburst candy cane. That's what I would say.
Oh, okay. For me, it's a very tough choice because I love candy canes. I buy it every year, and gingerbread cookies are my favorite. But for me, I gotta go with candy canes because I just, I like. If it was chocolate chip cookies, that would be different. But I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like gingerbread cookies. Gingerbread are all right, but I would prefer like candy canes better because I was like, it's so easy to eat. Like you just grab one, you like munch on it, and you grab another one, munch on it, and you just eat it like anytime when you're watching a Christmas movie or you're watching a Christmas parade or you're watching anything. You could just eat at any time, and it's so easy. So for me, it's gotta be the candy canes for me. And for Justin, he says cookies. That's for Justin. I think he's going with the gingerbread cookies. But fellas, it's been a great Christmas special. It's been so much fun. But now we got to wind it down and go to our last portion of the show, and that is our Christmas trivia section. It's gonna be. We did this for our Thanksgiving special last year, and it was so much. Or not last year, but we did it for our Thanksgiving special last couple weeks ago, and it was so much fun. So we'll do it again. Our Christmas special. Gotta have some Christmas trivia. So Lauro and Ashton, I'll each ask you 4 questions each. You guys can feel free to steal from the other guy if they don't get their question right. Actually, Ashwin, we'll start with you first on this, since you're the guest on the show here for some Christmas trivia. You ready for your first question?
Ready.
All right, Ashwin. For your question, your first question is, we got another guy joining us here tonight on our Big B. You made it just in time. We're doing our Christmas trivia, man.
What's up, Big B?
Oh boy, that should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
fun.
I wish Ace was here so he could ask me some questions instead of me having to do the asking. But Ashwin, we'll start first with you. 4 questions for everybody. Your question, Ashwin, is, let's look right here. Okay, first, your question, Ashwin, is, when did the pink Christmas trees become popular?
It became popular in 1963.
Ooh,
Ooh.
incorrect. But Laurel, Big B, you guys want to give any guesses? Big B, I'll start with you first.
I'll go more recent. I'll say like 97.
97, all right. Laurel?
88.
88, all right. Ashwin, you were actually the closest, as it became popular in the 50s.
Wow.
So yeah, you were very close.
Okay.
But Big B, I'll go to you next on your first question of our Christmas trivia. What U.S. state first recognized Christmas as a national holiday?
Okay.
No, not you, Ashwin. Big B goes first.
Let's see. I will say New York.
New York, okay. Unfortunately, that's not the correct answer. How about you, Ashwin? You got an answer?
Alaska.
Alaska? Nope. How about you, Lauro?
Washington, D.C.
It's Alabama. The first U.S. state, believe it or not, to recognize Christmas as a national holiday was Alabama. I don't know how that. Wow, that's so random. All right, Laurel, your turn now, right? All right, Laurel. So for you, and you got a pretty easy one here. What treats do you leave for Santa on Christmas Eve?
Cookies.
There's actually 2. There's 2.
Cookies and milk.
Yes, that's correct. Milk and cookies. So Laurel, as one on the scoreboard. Ashton, I think it's your turn next, right?
Yes.
Your second question. All right. Ashwin, for your second question. Ooh, here's another easy one for you. Ashwin, where does Santa Claus live?
He lives in the North Pole.
Yes, that is correct. Ashwin and Laurel are tied at 1. Big B.
Actually, I I want to veto that one because he lives a few blocks away from me in Minnesota here. Come on now, guys.
Uh,
Big B, your next question, and I mean, I don't know how many how these easy ones just keep popping up at the same time, but Big B, your question is, what was the color of Rudolph's nose?
Red.
That is correct. Now, what was the color of Dante's nose? All right, so you guys all have one with 2 questions left. I think it's Ashwin's turn, right? No, it's Loro's turn. Loro's second question, actually. So, Loro, for you. And I think we covered this last time. In the movie It's a Wonderful Life, what happens every time a bell rings?
When a bell rings,
I know this one.
it ticks to midnight.
That is that's incorrect. Ashwin, you want to give it a try? What happens every time a bell rings in the movie It's a Wonderful Life?
Santa is flying his reindeer.
Nope, that's incorrect. How about you, Big B?
An angel gets their wings.
Yep, an angel gets their wings. Exactly.
Nice.
So Big B's got 2, and Ashwin and Loro both have 1. So whose turn is it next? Is it? Oh, it's Ashwin's turn.
Okay.
All right, Ashwin. Here's your question. Your next question, Ashwin, is when were gingerbread houses invented?
1945.
That's incorrect. Big B, Loro, you guys got any answers?
I would say 1970.
That's incorrect. How about you, Big B?
I'll go the late great 1968.
Unfortunately, you guys weren't even close. It was the 16th century.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long, long time. But Big B, is it your turn?
It is. It is
Yeah,
Big B's turn.
Your turn.
Yeah.
So Big B's up 2, 1, and 1. So Big B, here's your question. Let's see. Right. Oh, when is National Candy Cane Day, Big B?
I'll go December 24th.
Okay, that's incorrect. Loro, Ashwin, you guys want to take a guess? National Candy Cane Day. What day is that?
1980.
Oh no, it's like what day, not a year.
I would say Christmas Day.
Christmas Day? Nope.
December
How about you,
12th.
Ashwin? December 12th?
Yeah.
The correct answer is actually December 26th.
Damn it, I was going to say that too.
You and Loro were like super close on that one. So I think it's back to you, Loro. So it's 2, 1, and 1. Let's see the next question. Getting it popped up. All right, for you, Loro. For you is your question, Loro, is all right, right here. All right, perfect. True or false? Jingle Bells was always intended to be a Christmas song. True or false?
I say true because Jingle Bells is one of the popular Christmas carols in the world. If you celebrate Christmas.
All right. Unfortunately, that's incorrect. The answer was it's false, as it was written for Thanksgiving, not Christmas.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
My Lord.
That's surprising. I didn't know like that Jingle Bells was written for Thanksgiving. That's crazy. Ashwin, your turn.
Okay.
All right. In Home Alone 2, What city does Kevin mistakenly gets lost in?
New York City.
Yes, that's correct.
I got it. Woo!
So it's 2-2-1. Big B, here's your question. Let's see, right. All right, Big B, for you. What did the other reindeers not let Rudolph do because of his shiny red nose?
They didn't allow him to participate in the reindeer games.
Yes, that's correct. So Big B's up 3-2-1. Loro, for you, what was the highest attended Christmas movie of all time in theaters? The highest attended movie in history.
I'm gonna say Miracle on 34th Street.
I wish it was that, but unfortunately, that's not the right answer. Ashwin, Big B, you guys want to take any guess?
Die Hard.
No, not Die Hard. How about you, Ashwin?
What's the question again?
Like the highest attended movie, Christmas movie of all time in movie theaters.
The Christmas Carol movie.
Nope, it's actually Home Alone 1.
Oh, okay.
I love that movie, actually. Have you guys even seen the part when Marv and Harry, the two burglars, would say, "Yeah, kids are scared of the dark"?
I think I remember that. I haven't watched it like in a while, but yeah, I think I remember that part. But whose turn is it? I think it's back to Laurel. So Laurel, for you, what color are the Hershey's Kisses Christmas chocolate kisses?
They are brown and white. They're brown and white and red.
Actually, no, before you continue, it's I think they mean like the wrapper of the kisses, like the foil wrapper that wraps the kisses, like that one. What's the color of those?
Red and silver.
They're okay. You have one more guess because there's 3.
Red, silver, and white.
Laurel actually got 2 of them, but Ashwin, Big B, you guys want to steal it?
Red, silver, green.
Yes, red, silver, and green. So I'll give you half points for that. For that one. But it's the final question for you guys. So Ashwin, your final question, Ashwin, is what is the best-selling Christmas song ever?
Okay.
The best-selling Christmas song ever.
Jingle Bell Rock.
No, that's not the right answer. Big B, Lowroy, you guys want to steal this?
Deck the halls.
No. How about you, Lowroy?
The best Christmas song. What's the question again?
The best-selling Christmas song ever.
All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey.
I wish it was that, but no, it's actually White Christmas by Bing Crosby.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Bing Crosby's a legend, guys. He is the king of Christmas.
All right, so Big B, your final question is... All right, here we go. What was the real name of the character that Tim Allen plays in the movie Santa Claus?
Scott Calvin.
Yes, that's correct, man. That's correct. Laurel, your final question is... All right, here we go. In what country started the tradition of putting up a Christmas tree?
What country started the tradition of putting up a Christmas tree?
Yep.
I would say Europe.
You have a country in Europe?
Switzerland.
Okay, no, that's not the correct answer. Ashwin, you want to take a guess?
Canada.
No. How about you, Big B?
Jerusalem.
No, that's actually not the right answer. It's actually Germany.
Mm.
Germany was the first country to put up or to start the tradition of putting up the Christmas tree. But that's our Christmas trivia, and I think Big B won. I think Big B won our Christmas trivia with, I believe, 4.5 correct answers. So that
Yeah, just like Minnesota taking home those wins from the LA boys, you know.
yes, you continue the winning streak here on this Friday night. But Laurel, I'll pass it back to you for our final segment of the show, and that is to wrap it up.
All right, folks. It has been a great holiday show. And before I take two. All right, folks, before we get to our final thoughts, we have some announcements to make for the MI6 network. The Extra Point will be continuing on as scheduled this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday, and the following Sunday, as we are wrapping up on the 2021 NFL regular season, as it's 18 weeks long. So be sure to tune in then. And also, I want to say to my family and my friends, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. Enjoy your loved ones and tell them you love them and show some love and appreciation to your family today and every day. So that's kind of my final thoughts. And I also want to thank our viewers for tuning in. And also, I'm looking forward to the future of the MI6 Sports Network. I think we're going to have such a bright future ahead. And I'm also looking forward to the New Year's extravaganza in 2 weeks. So Callan and I will be splitting the hosting duties. So I'll be hosting the East Coast portion, and then Callan and I will be co-hosting the West Coast portion of the New Year's extravaganza. So Isaiah, I'm going to pass it on along to you if you can
So it's actually
give us the announcements on the New Year's extravaganza.
Yeah, so the New Year's extravaganza, we did this last year. It was actually Callan's wild and crazy idea that he had, where he just, we did and Big B, you didn't know us back then, but we did like a 6-hour special going into the New Year. Like, we started, I think, at, I would say, like 6 p.m. Pacific time, and we went from 6 all the way until midnight here on Pacific time in the West Coast. And man, it was a very tiring show, but it was like so much fun because the people that live on the East Coast, they got to do it first. They did the 6 to 9, and then they celebrated their New Year, and then they passed to us on the West Coast, and we went from 9 to 12. So it was very fun, and looking forward to it. I'm probably gonna have to drink a lot more coffee and a lot more soda just to get through the show. But yeah, looking forward to it. And this break that we will have off of programming for the next 2 weeks is really gonna help us, as we get ready for that New Year's extravaganza.
Yeah, so like I talked to Callan, he and I are going to split the co-hosting duties.
That sounds good, man. That sounds good.
So
looking forward to it.
Tell us what time do you think we're going to be starting the New Year's extravaganza?
Well, I'm going to have to talk to Callan about it, but Callan wanted to do, instead of a 6-hour show, he wants to do an 8-hour show this time. So I don't know. I'm going to have to definitely talk to him about it.
All right. So what are your final thoughts, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah. My final thoughts is I want to thank, Justin. I want to thank Justin and so much comments. I think Christy tuned in, as well as Casey King and Big B was here tonight. Thank you to, all the fans for tuning in. Thank you to, Ben and John and Trevor and even Steven, who was driving to Sacramento. He was driving to Sacramento, and he, hopped on our show. It was so, kind of him to do it. It was so great. I want to thank all of those guys for tuning in. I also want to thank, Loro. You and I did a great job of hosting the show tonight. And I also want to thank Big B for hopping on. And can't forget about Ashwin. I want to thank Ashwin for hopping on with us during our Christmas portion of the show. Yeah, no problem, man. And you know, it was a great fun show. I want to, you know, tell all of you guys, hope all you guys have a Merry Christmas and have a great time spending with your family and your friends and your loved ones. And, you know, it's going to be great. You know, the Christmas holiday is always my favorite holiday of the year, and I can't wait for it. So hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas.
And you also said, I mean, you also know that the extra point's going to be continuing on as scheduled.
Yep. It will be on Sunday.
And then I'll go with Big B. What are your final thoughts on the show? You have any holiday shout-outs for everyone out there?
Thanks for letting me be on and, you know, spank you guys like the Lakers speak, or we'll speak the Lakers. My shout-out, you know, check us out also on C2C, Coast to Coast Entertainment. We got great shows with some of these guys. Isaiah, I know you're on. Low you're with me on Morning Tailgate. Tuesday, we're going to bring back our show, You Think You Know. Isaiah, you said you're going to be on it with John. So that should be a good show there. But
I'm ready for
if I
that
don't
one.
talk to you guys beforehand, I hope everybody has a great Christmas. Be safe and Happy New Year's.
And Isaiah, you got one more final thought.
Yeah, I got one more final thought. I was just going to say what Big B said, and that is, you know, MI6 is going to be taking a holiday break from programming. So, you know, you guys can check out the folks at the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. And you can watch their shows if you guys really want, you know, programming like, you know, the Morning Tailgate with Loro and Big
B is what Isaiah was going to call me earlier.
I got it right. And then I think, and then, you know, kicking it with Isaiah and Ace, that's always a fun show. And then I think we also have, you know, I'm trying to think. We also have, I believe we have Sports Minute as well, Saturdays as well as Wednesday. So there's a lot of great shows. Make sure you guys go check them out as well. If you need, you know, if you want to watch shows during the Christmas holidays while we are on break, and also Santa Claus, if you're listening, please, I want an Austin Reeves Lakers jersey. That's what I want. Give me that for Christmas, please.
That's a good wish there, Isaiah. But anyways, folks, now let's get to Big B. Let's also get to let's get to Ashwin's final thoughts. What are your final thoughts, Ashwin?
My final thought is I want Christmas to go well this year. I don't want to face the COVID. I don't want the variant to spread and everyone gets sick again. I want it to be a good Christmas. I want to enjoy. Go to Starbucks, get some like holiday drinks, hang out with friends, do some personal projects, and then like basically enjoy myself, you know?
Yeah, we all want that. I mean, not seeing friends during 2020 was personally hard for me and for everybody that is on the show because we were all locked in the house. I didn't think it was fun. I wanted to see more people, hang out with more friends, and also make up for lost time, like go out to lunch with them or hang out at the park, have a picnic with your friends that are ladies out there. For those who are listening, that's what
nice.
That was kind of like the hobbies that people would do if you have hangouts or you have all kinds of friends. So basically, I have a good mix of friends here that support me through the good and through the bad. So anyways, for producer Stephen Wang, Ashwin, thank you for hopping on. Isaiah, I won't see you on the Extra Point Sunday. I don't know if you're joining or not because you're going to be working the Niners game.
I might do a special appearance from Levi Stadium. Who knows? But stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and then also looking forward to, and I also want to say here that I am looking forward to the New Year's extravaganza, and I can't wait to share the hosting duties with Colin McClurg. So I'll leave it at that. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll leave you with one final video.
Hello?
I'm still there. Just have to pause.